WNST, Towson, Baltimore. Surprise to all of us at some point on Tuesday afternoon when word started to dribble out of all things warehouse, although I guess it was Sarasota, so I'll say out of the Gulf Coast, that Alex Cobb would be making the move to Camden Yards. Bill Cole is our dear friend, and I am working on my Cole Roofing mug because he gave me the 14-ounce mug instead of the 10-ounce mug around here. We welcome him back onto the program, obviously with the weather this week. The weather a couple of weeks ago, always a good idea to be thinking about your roof, especially if you have a commercial or corporate space. That's what Bill does. But when Bill is not on your roof or your boss's roof, he's watching Oriole baseball. Bill, this is a what's the old Dylan song? The times they are a-changin', right?
Right. So do we consider this like inning eater? Is that what we just bought? We didn't think we had enough guys to throw enough innings to get from the beginning to the end?
Well, if you're not going to win, if that is your presupposition that it doesn't matter who it is, then go ahead and let Mike Wright throw, or Tyler, whatever his name is, or bring in somebody else's kick to the curb guy next Tuesday and let him be the fifth starter. That's fine, but they went $60 million large in, or $57 million, and I'm sure much of it was deferred, Bill, as you know how this goes. But I don't even know if all of those old rules apply anymore. I guess my thesis is, under the era of Peter Giangelos, this never would have happened. You know what I mean? Like, Peter's not running the team anymore. There's just no way that Peter would throw $60 million at a pitcher a week before opening day. John Angelos is clearly spending daddy's money now, to my eyes.
This is why I love you, Nestor. You have the ability to be optimistic about pretty much anything. I kind of looked at it like more mediocrity and just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I can appreciate the perspective that to your point, there's no way that we'd have ever done this in the past.
There's no way the kids would have been in free either, dude. I mean, this isn't as bad as it's ever been. I mean, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, any of those years, they could have done dollar tickets for kids if that's where their heart was. I mean, I had, I'm trying to think who it was. It wasn't Luke. I had somebody on the air the other day that said baseball, the heart of baseball are the kids. It was Marty Conway. And I said, really? I know they talk about the kids and they show videos of Adam Jones playing with the kids and the RBI program and all that stuff, but the last thing this organization has ever thought about are children, period.
Right.
Or Major League Baseball, not just this organization, Major League Baseball in general. Since we were kids, since the baseball bunch went away and Johnny Bench went away, that was kind of the end of it, Bill. And you and I were 11 when that happened, man.
Yeah, and it's resulted in a lost generation of no baseball fans. So
58 is the average age, right? 58.
Right. I think you have good factual data to support that position. Absolutely.
Yeah, I look inside the stadium. You know what? You know what the other little dirty little secret is? Everyone's white. No one ever says that at baseball. Adam Jones sort of learned that in Boston last year, but everyone is they're white and they're old. Sounds a lot like the guy that got elected. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing that this place has been run in one fashion for 25 years. Much like everything they do, they can't even announce, like the Broncos did, that the guy running it's not running it anymore, because they could never announce that he was running it because he never stood out in front of it to begin with. He was always leading from behind and in the shadows. And now they're like letting kids in, and they're giving pitchers $57 million on March 20th. Peter's not running the place anymore. I mean, the kids are in control. And remember the last time the kids were in control, we had Chris Sabo and Sid Fernandez, and, it was rotisserie baseball around here. So I'm not saying it's going to be run that way, but I'm saying Peter wouldn't have cared about giving Alex Cobb $57 million of his money. I promise you that. That wouldn't have happened.
Right. So is there something in football that you can point to that speaks to children better than what baseball's doing?
I got one in hockey. You want to Google the Chicago Blackhawks. So in the annals of Blackhawks history, I was syndicated at the turn of the century, 1999, 2000, 2001. I was friends with Barry Trotz during that era. By the way, it's a free plug for the event that you're sponsoring, along with our friend Carl Delmont of Fremont Mortgage. We're going to have head coach Barry Trotz with us Thursday night after opening day. You call it opening day. I call it the opening day after party at Michael's Cafe up in Simone. We're going to be talking with him. And I used to go out to Chicago when Nashville would play there to see Trotz and see a game. And I could pick my times to go to Chicago whenever I wanted to go. And I worked there for 3.5 years. And I would always pick when Jimmy Buffett was playing, or when Pearl Jam was in town, or when the Cubs were playing somebody interesting, or when the White Sox were playing the Orioles. But I would almost always pick the 3 games where the Predators played in Chicago and go out and see the Predators play. And I would go down to that rink. There were 6,500 people in a 20,000-seat United Center. This is during the afterglow of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all of that. The Jordan statue was up and all that stuff. He was playing baseball, if you remember, right after that.
Sure.
And, well, he almost played. He played for the Bullets or Wizards, whatever they were called at the time, for 5 minutes too. But I would go out there, and there was no hope. People would talk about the old days of the Blackhawks in the stadium. There was nobody there, and the old man, Wirtz, was hanging on. He refused to put the games on television, Bill. So his premise was, if I put the games on television, no one will come to the games. So they didn't put the games on television, and guess what? No one came to the games. And the team stunk. They were awful. He died. I'm going to Google him up. I'm going to get you all the stats on Billy Wirtz. But Rocky Wirtz took over. Rocky is now 65, okay? To give you a little perspective, he was considered to be, the kid. Bill Wirtz died in 2007, and Rocky Wirtz took over immediately. And they've won Stanley Cup since then, So is it possible? Sure. I mean, Jack Kent Cooke had to sell his estate. I think there are many places where children have Taylor Smith ran the Atlanta Falcons for Rankin Smith. David Modell pretty much ran Art's Place here in Baltimore. I mean, and I said that when he died last year. So, there are children out there that have taken over second and third generation and done okay. But I would point to the Rocky Wirtz scenario in Chicago and say, if you are dreaming that John Angelos is competent, I'm not sure he's competent. I've been told by people inside that if he could be running it, he would be running it already. It's been 25 years. And I said, well, have you ever met the old man? John would have run this place differently. Look, man, I don't know that anybody could have made this place worse than Peter, right, Bill? I mean, you have a family business. You've been 99 years. You're third generation. You're running the places you see fit. Maybe your grandfather would have laughed at solar panels on roofs or whatever, or maybe he would have been the first guy into the party. I don't know, but we all run business. My son wouldn't run my business the way I run it. I mean, we're all different people. I think there is some hope here that John is ashamed of the way his old man ran the place. I know Jimmy Irsay, you talk about, is there a precedent? There, you got one right there. Jim Irsay, he never comes out and apologizes for his father, but everywhere he goes, he has to apologize for his father, right? Probably like the pretty girl down in D.C. is going to have to do once the old man's not running the country anymore, right? Like if she's not in jail, she will be spending the rest of her life apologizing for this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether we want to use the Irsays as the story that we want to tell here, but what about the correlation between the children taking over the business and then the kids free at the Oriole games? So in football, I believe the numbers of kids is probably higher than in baseball, but what does the NFL or hockey or any of these other sports do to nurture the children, who are the next generation of their fans?
Well, they have a great shot in L.A. Right. They put 2 teams out there, and there's 28 million people, including Latinos and, Asians and, people of color, not like in Iowa. They could really get something done there if they chose to do that. But that's not, that's... I don't know that the Play 60 program is something they do. Obviously in the NBA in the inner city, everybody's dribbling a basketball, so because it's inexpensive and there's a hoop already up, so it's kind of built in. Unlike a lacrosse stick or hockey, blades or ice time or fields, and go try to play baseball today, Bill. It's 28 degrees and it's icing sideways, so good for roofs, by the way, but not so great for baseball. For my Coppin people and my UMBC people trying to play baseball too. So, baseball unto itself is one of those things like you and I would grow up. There need to be 5 or 6 of us to go play ball unless we were going to play pitch off the wall down behind the Luskins, you know? So baseball has its own challenges for a lot of reasons, including it being slow, including it's $20 to get in now. It's not the price of a movie ticket anymore. It's not $2.50 anymore. And it's only being played in 30 places. And in places like Charlotte, North Carolina, or Jacksonville, or Orlando, or San Antonio, or places where they don't play baseball, you know, they play football. They play golf. They watch NASCAR. They play video games. They do esports. I mean, there's a million things going on out there that are a lot more interesting to an 8-year-old than Alex Cobb. I mean, certainly in Baltimore, lacrosse is more interesting for most people here this time of year.
Yeah, you brought up that esports thing, and I know your guys in D.C. are good friends, but that's an interesting topic maybe for another day because I don't understand that at all, but I know a lot of people do understand it, and it's
dude, crazy. I don't get it at all, man. I don't get it at all. But you know what? When I had a kid from Coppin on hit who's their leadoff batter, he's stolen 13 bases, he's drawn a bunch of walks early in the year, and I looked up on his page, a 20-year-old guy from Newark, New Jersey. Good interview, Andre Santana. You should go listen to him. His Twitter handle is Mr. October Baby. You like that, Bill? That's a little plug for Coppin State there. And I looked up and he said his favorite hobby is playing video games. I mean, when I was 20, my favorite hobby was not playing video games. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that there is a youth culture that all of these kids have grown up with Donkey Kong in their pocket. I had to go over to the Bricados over at East Point Mall and find the Donkey Kong machine or the Aladdin's Castle to play video games when I was a kid before, like, Atari came along, right? We had the little ColecoVision. These kids have it all in their phone, and I would think Donkey Kong was more interesting than certain Orioles teams in the 80s for me. You know, I mean, even as much as I like sports, I got addicted to video games for a period of time, right?
Yeah, I can appreciate the playing of video games. The shift that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around is, you know, the watching of other people playing video games. And
like highlight, right? A little bit.
Well, I mean, when people explain it to me, it's like, yeah, well, you know, you go down to the stadium and, you know, watch a 6'6", 300-pound dude run around and smash people, and, you know, that's impressive to you.
Yeah, I went to see Judas Priest the other night. I mean, most people don't like that noise, right? Like, literally,
yeah,
right?
It's just, the children are interested in watching other people accomplish things in video games that they can't accomplish. And that's a major shift, and I think that's where entertainment dollars are going to go. And, I mean, you look at the number of stadiums and arenas that people can fill, and they're watching people play video games. And that's
look, my wife will watch that pretty girl from Towson do the jungle gym thing through a city. What's it? You know what I'm talking about?
Ninja Warriors.
Yeah, Ninja Warriors. She loves the Ninja Warriors, right? So, you know, I mean, I guess I watched the Battle of the Network Stars because I like to see Farrah Fawcett back in ’78. You know what I mean? So, I guess we all have our afflictions. Bill Cole, he fixes roofs. Tell everybody. I was going to say roofs or up on the roof. Is what we called it over in Dundalk, but you do commercial roofing spaces. This has been a hellacious month, right? Like, this is good for your business, but bad for, like, my mom's roof, right?
Yeah, it's tough. Anytime we get, you know, high winds or the freeze-thaw cycle, you know, it's going to snow, and then it thaws a little bit, and then it freezes again. Any kind of little opening grows when it freezes again. So it has been tough. But, you know, we can help people anywhere from, you know, a simple service call to try and find out what's going on to when the time comes to actually take it off and put it back. You know, we do a lot of that. So we're here to help, and, you know, we're ready when anybody needs us.
Well, and you're here to talk sports right now, and the Cobb thing for you with the Orioles. Give me your Oriole history for everyone. I mean, everyone hears you on the show from time to time. They know we're buddies and we're running mates, and we've joked about going to opening day. You know, I have Coach Trotz after opening day, the after party up there at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, and we're excited about that. By the way, you got to get the split-level soup, Billy. That's my tip of the day for you. Everybody knows about the crab cake. They don't know about the split-level soup. That's sort of like the secret weapon there. You know, this is another opening day. I would say the level in the baseball fan in me, I'm 50 years old, the level of all I care about is that they can win, right? And that they can be interesting. I used to care about if they were good human beings and doing right by the community, but I've sort of lowered the bar on that because they're never going to do that. We've spent the whole offseason talking about dealing Machado, not spending money. Where's Buck? Where's Dan? Where's Adam? Where's Brock? Where's Britton? Where's Machado going? Why aren't they signing Scope? A week and a half ago, Lance Lynn hits the market for $12 million, which seemed like a perfect Orioles signing, but Luke pointed out he would rather not pitch here and get his brains beaten in by the AL East in a one-year deal where he's trying to go get the $100 million deal. He's trying to pick a place like Minnesota where he can pitch in the postseason and maybe pitch in a ballpark and maybe get lost a little bit and maybe win 18 games or something. So they wouldn't spend $12 million on him last week, and this week they're giving Alex Cobb $57 million when no one would give him that all off season. It felt like a throw-the-towel-in kind of year where they're going to deal off pieces and fortify for the future and lament that they didn't get anything for Britton and lament that they didn't get anything for Machado. And all of a sudden, the worm turns here and they're going all in. I mean, that's why this smacks of John Angelos. And I know for the youngins out there, we all are 58 at this point, who are baseball fans, John Angelos sort of took over the franchise for 5 minutes back in the 90s and got into his old man's ear and started spending the old man's money and loved him some rotisserie baseball. And this is the kind of thing you do a week before the season begins because this has nothing to do with a strategy, Bill. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's no strategy here other than the wave rolled up. Let's see what it left behind, you know?
Well, that's why I started with an inning eater. I mean, were they just generally concerned they didn't have enough arms to get through the season? Look, baseball for me is in the same category as golf. You know, it's about the conversation and being in a nice environment. I'm not good enough at golf to really care about how many strokes I take. Right now, and for a long time, the Orioles haven't been good enough to really care. And this didn't really do anything to make me say, oh, okay, here we go. It didn't. It's more of kind of mediocrity and more of the same. And to your point, there's no strategy. I think we have savvy enough sports fans in this town that if you did lay out or allow us to understand some strategy, we would support a mediocre team for some period of time with the expectation that we were building for the future. We're smart enough sports fans to do that. That's not what's going on. Again, you tell us all the time, and it's dead on, the lack of communication coming out of the team. Like, look at the two opposites of the two franchises. I mean, the Ravens probably over-communicate, and sometimes that gets them in trouble. And then the Orioles, you don't know anything, and you don't hear anything, and everything's a rumor.
The Orioles feel no responsibility to the fan base ever. There has never been respect for us as fans. I mean, that was my bitch in 2006 and in 2018. You know, it still is, we're the Orioles, F you, come if you want to. And next week's opening day, and, you know, the whole notion that they're letting kids in. Bill, you know, I had Marty Conway on who ran the place for a decade, right? I mean, if they're giving tickets away and they're knee-jerking that on March 10th, as they did 10 days ago, it tells you just how soft the ticket sales are, right? Like, just how badly, and they only put them on sale in April for the kids, right? So you gotta go get April and early May right now. And I went up there and I poked around, you know, a seat up on the roof, literally left field roof seat. They'll sell me that seat for $15 on a Tuesday night, or 21 or 23 on a giveaway bobblehead night or whatever. And then by the time you juice it up, it's either $22 or it's $28, $29 for one ticket. And you have the right to bring two children. So if it's you and your wife, you're still looking at, you know, a $60 get-in for the three of you, or you're taking your one child or your two children. Still going to be $60 to get in. Then when you get there, you know, the prices are what they are. I don't know that that's running you down from Harford County or in from Westminster or up from Bowie or across the Bay Bridge from Stevensville or, you know, up 97 from Severna Park or wherever you're, Hunt Valley, if you're Joe Enoch and you're up in Hereford. You know, I don't know if that's going to get Luke's brother and sister down from Shrewsbury or York, Pennsylvania. I really don't know if it's going to get my buddies over from Dundalk on a summer night to say I'm going to spend $60 to go down to an empty ballpark, take my kids, have them run around on a Tuesday night because my kids don't like baseball. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the problem. And my kids are 8 years old, and having them run around the ballpark when they don't know what the hell's going on feels like a babysitting service. And I could take him over to the jungle gym, or I could take him to the park, or I could take him fishing. Or better yet, I could sit them in a corner with their phone and they'll just play video games all night and be happy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I do know that there are people who are trying, and this is probably evidence of that. So in the past, all those challenges or problems would have existed and nothing would have occurred. So it feels like a knee-jerk reaction, and there's a crisis going on. But at the same time, it's proof that maybe there are a few people in the building who are actually coming to work every day trying to make it better. And I've seen some of those, maybe on the corporate side, who are trying to take care of their customers, approaching it in the right manner, being flexible with the ways they can get people into the stadium and giving people other reasons. Even, and those guys have to endure whether the team's winning or losing. It doesn't matter. Their job and their livelihood is to try and sell those suites and sell those tickets and get people in there. So there are good people, and I think maybe we've turned the corner, and maybe it's John, and we'll see how much runway he gets.
Well, this is an interesting time because the Ravens have given them a little bit of open door. John sees the empty seats. I would say Peter sees it. Peter didn't see anything for 25 years except his the bottom line, the profit line. He certainly didn't see the fans, but the Orioles see that the Ravens are struggling. The Orioles know the wind's blowing the other way. I think part of this Alex Cobb thing is, hey, we're here the next 6 months. Come and check us out. We're not going to let the Yankees and Red Sox come in and beat our brains in, which is what they've allowed to happen for 20 years, kind of, sort of, when they were, selling tickets of Hideo Nomo's no-hitter against us in the newspaper the next day, when there were 42,000 Yankees and Red Sox fans down here 20 times a year for a decade. I got the videos of all that. I saw all that. I think John is a guy who's always been a little more fanboy, a little bit more like you or me, a little bit more like, Daddy, we got $2 billion. Let's put a good team out, And if John's got the hold of this thing, and I'm no apologist for John, because he sat around like these two goofs down in D.C. and watched the old man run roughshod for a quarter of a century, wrecking his last name in the same way that Jim Irsay had to deal with that with his old man. But if John's going to run the team to actually win and, give me back my press pass and, hold 2 press conferences a year and start to, reach out to people and run the organization in some sort of a civic-friendly fashion and not be a prick like his old man, good. I'll hear that. I mean, I'm open. John, I'm waiting. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me whenever you're ready to run the team the right way. That's great. That's all I've ever asked for 25 years. But I'll say this. This is not Peter running the team, Bill. I mean, I can't believe for a minute that Peter Angelos is alive, lucid at 88 years old and said, yeah, on the way out, let's give Alex Cobb $57 million. Some of it deferred, of course, and pending physical. We forgot that part, too.
Right. Yeah, that tends to be a problem lately. Hey,
if he flunks the physical, I'll tell you Pete's doing well and my thesis is no good.
Yeah, right. As a member of the media, I want to go a different direction real quick?
Sure. I'm not a member of the media. Ask Greg Bader.
Okay, so you're as close as I can get to a member of the media.
Right.
How's that?
I'm a faux media member. You need a real media member. Get someone from Masson, like Rock Kabako or someone.
Right. Give me your take on the media reporting on, majorly negative things that happen in our universe, like school shootings or random bombs and things like that. How do you feel, or what's the responsibility for media to report on that type of stuff?
Well, I mean, the media hasn't reported on Puerto Rico in 6 months either. So, I think we're in a whole different media world here where the media is not reporting what it should report. The media is reporting what people want to hear and what's popular in their silo, right? So whatever will get the best reaction and keep the Fox idiots watching Fox all day, telling them what they want to hear, that's what they get. MSNBC, you put Rachel Maddow on every night, she's going to tell you exactly what her audience wants to hear or in her mind needs to hear. But it's all based on what's going to get me a click, what's going to bring people in. I guess most of these sports teams are run by not what's good for the fans, what's good for winning. It's what's going to make us the most amount of money short term, because there is no long term anymore. So I guess in the media sense, should the local media here be reporting more on the Orioles since we built them a stadium? Yes, I believe that for 20 years. The media here couldn't report on that. When Mike Flanagan killed himself, BAL reported that the Orioles were involved. Go Google it. The day after, it went away because the advertising controls the media no matter what the media is. I mean, you're one of my advertisers. Every time I talk about something a little controversial, somebody like you's getting a phone call about a guy like me. So, we're not in a media age here. We're in a media age where the media is controlled by the advertising in the same way the politicians are controlled by the super PACs, and whatever Koch brother happens to be, or Soros brother happens to be in charge or telling whom what to say or how to say it, or how things are going to be done or how laws are going to be written. I don't think it's any different in local media, whether it's the Baltimore Sun, which now has no power at all to report on policing or corruption in jails or corruption in politics or Sheila Dixon's Best Buy cards or whatever. If there is no media, if the media has to kowtow to the advertisers, you're never going to get the truth, because the truth's always going to be for sale.
Right, but and those media members, so historically, they have, that's an internal challenge for them, right?
With the Orioles, it's a gag order. I was hung in 2007 on opening day in front of all of them, and they said if you report negatively on us, you won't have access anymore.
Okay, but you had the courage, and you weren't gonna do that. You were gonna tell it like it is, and tell it like how you saw it, whether people wanted to agree.
Well, the only reason I can do that is because people like you at Cole Roofing and Howard Bank and Royal Farms and Pizza John's and the Maryland Jockey Club and King Discount Liquors and Fremont Mortgage support me, right? I mean, that's the only. Look, the Baltimore Sun doesn't write negative stuff about the Orioles or report the truth about the Orioles, because the Orioles are still one of the few people that put an ad in the paper. So you're never going to get a fair shake from the Baltimore Sun on what's really going on with the Orioles, because it's not in their best financial interest to report the truth to you.
So is there a group of people who are willing to help support people speaking the truth, or speaking not necessarily what's going to get you the most clicks, but the information in its truest sense? And it's just the laziness of those businesses who take the easy money, who want to take the easy money to be able to say what people want them to say. So is it a laziness issue? Or are there just not enough people who want to actually know what's going on?
I think it's a stakeholder bottom line financial issue. I mean, ESPN doesn't really care one way or another what the president says about Jamel Hill or what she says about the president. All they care about is how's it affecting our sponsors. Like literally, if it pisses the sponsors off, it's bad news. It's a bad idea. It's fake news. It's something we shouldn't go in the corner. You know what I mean? It's like all the Me Too movement. I mean, look at how much power Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein and these people and Donald Trump on his little bust with Billy Bush. He wrecked Billy Bush's career. Billy Bush sat on Bill Maher last week and said, what, was I going to go to NBC and say this guy's a sexist jerk and saying all sorts of things when he is the entity that makes all the money for NBC? I couldn't do that. They would fire me. They would laugh at me. Donald Trump got the ratings. Whatever he did was okay, and I had to go report on it because that was my job. My job was to kiss his ass. And if I didn't kiss his ass, he was getting the 6 share. The Orioles' job is to kiss Manny Machado's ass because he hits .320. The Ravens' job for 15 years was to kiss Ray Lewis's ass because he tackled a quarterback and put the fear of God running back. So whatever he wanted, he got. And
right,
that's the way life works right now. Everybody, you want to work in the White House, you got to do what the Orange Cheeto tells you to do. Okay. Or else you don't work in the White House anymore, right?
But there is. So look at the struggles that ESPN is having, and I think where ESPN got lost is they didn't have any competition, so they ruled the universe. And then now that the information is so disseminated, and maybe all people really wanted to do was to get scores and see highlights. It wasn't always about their personalities or the other, cute terms they would use.
Well, they're kind of everything, right? Like, we used to go to MTV and get videos, right? We used to go to ESPN and just get sports. Now we get everything, right? We get feel-good cancer stories. We get 30-30. We get, tell-alls. We get goofs screaming in the middle of the afternoon and playing game shows, talking about sports. We get Colin Cowherd. We get screaming Stephen A. We get shtick. I mean, SportsCenter is just one big shtick thing now, right? So, but what we don't get, and this is really where the rubber meets the road. I want you to go listen to my podcast and my segment with John Orand, Ourand from Sports Business Journal. You can find that out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. You can find it out on our YouTube or WNSTV page. We talked for 41 minutes. He wrote a great piece last week about how the NFL has its finger down on ESPN and they're at war because ESPN still has Dan Van Natta and Seth Wickersham, who report all the backdoor dealings of Jerry Jones suing the league, report all the backdoor politics of Robert Kraft and his 20-year-old pregnant girlfriend, and all of that stuff that goes on, all the backdoor problems the Patriots were having between Brady and the trainer and the book and Belichick and teammates and his trainers and his special guacamole ice cream diet and all that other stuff that he's got going on, that the NFL doesn't want ESPN to participate in facts or reporting journalism or reporting on CTE or creating a show like Playmakers that would stain the NFL's reputation. So the NFL and ESPN are at war. And it's what I said to John Orand. I got beaten up by the Orioles because I'm a little guy. And John's like, well, they wouldn't have done that to the Sun or the Washington Post. Yes, they would. Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump's done that to the American people. Donald Trump's done that to the New York Times and to CNN and vilified the media. Same as when I wear my I Have Delusions of Grandeur shirt or I'm just another very unimportant Baltimore baseball fan. This is how these rich people think, man. So...
yeah, but it's killing.
And this is how the power is. Well, Goodell is telling ESPN, stand down on reporting facts about our league and dirty truths about our league, or we're going to allow Fox to have draft coverage. We are going to give Fox Thursday Night Football. We are going to make our coaches not accessible to you and our stars not accessible to you. Despite the fact that you're writing a $2 billion check to us, we don't like you because you write a $2 billion check to us, but that does not give you the right to criticize us. That's what the NFL has said to ESPN. And if they can do that to ESPN, if they can go to ESPN and say, we want Sean McDonough fired, which they did,
well, but it doesn't work.
Then what's next?
Right?
What's next?
It doesn't work long term, right? Because ESPN's going to die, so they'll have to move on to the next one. And right or wrong, whether it's good or bad that people want to know about all the dirty secrets, right? And that's where the clicks come from. It's killing ESPN because they're going elsewhere to go get that junk. And that's, I mean, what you have to do is you have to give ESPN the ability to put it out there. Let the population then say, well, yeah, that's a little racy and we're kind of interested, but that's not really what we want. And then let us consume and buy and support and whatever the things that we really want. The NFL, whether they can't control it, right? Because it's still out there. So all they're doing is killing partners, and it's going to eventually, erode the foundation of what they want. The TV money goes away for any of these sports. You're talking about a totally different thing.
Well, Masson's going to find that out once the cable cord cutting is done. And John knows this. He's smart enough. John Angelos knows this. That 10 years from now, they're not going to be having $185 million fall off the side of the boat on January 1st. That's over. That model is moving toward the end. And the model, and I talked to Marty Conway at length about this week. Hey, Bill, next week it's opening day. Come on out to Michael's Cafe. Join us for Barry Trotz. But whatever you do, don't try to get the Orioles on your phone. I mean, because you pay for it at home. I'm paying for Masson at my house, but if you want to try to get it in your car, I mean, last Friday, my wife and I were coming back from the Caps game. We watched March Madness. We watched the UMBC Miracle on New York Avenue on my wife's phone. Sunday night, I watched UMBC lose in the end to Kansas State from a Judas Priest concert on my phone at the Anthem in a Wi-Fi hall. And the Orioles game, I can't watch there unless I pay them more money than I'm already paying them. I've already paid for the license, but the license is only good in my living room or my bedroom or my office. The license doesn't travel outside of my condo right now. And that's absurd. You don't want me to watch the game? What? Right. And March Madness has sort of unveiled this, and I chatted at length with Marty Conway about that this week. So the times they are changing. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And at some point, we knew the old man would be dead or wouldn't be running the place anymore, whether John gets to run this or Lou gets to run this long term. But this is very, very obviously to me a changing of the guard from Bill Wirtz to Rocky Wirtz, or from tyranny to whatever the next thing is. Whatever Cuba is going to become here now, it's not going to be exactly what it was under Fidel.
Right. No, to put a positive spin on all that, like, you have to always be thankful to UMBC, because now you have that memory on New York Avenue with your wife, watching it on your telephone.
I had to pull over. I said, I pulled over literally on New York Avenue in one of those hooker motels down there, and I just pulled into the parking lot, and I said, I just want to watch this. I don't want the car to be moving. I want to see. And you know what? The feed will let them celebrate for like a minute and a half, and then they cut to the next game.
Right.
So I didn't even get a chance to so I'm like, you know what? And Mike D'Arcangelo from over there, my dear friend, who's helped us with, when my wife was sick and bald and all that, he was sending me videos from the locker room on my phone.
Yeah.
He was texting me the videos of them putting the 16 up and with Mara and all those guys, and I'm like, you know what? This is pretty special, because 16-1. What a week for UMBC, and I keep saying I wonder what the halo of this is. What this is, the pond in the water. What does this mean for Rabowski? What does this mean for Dave Odom or Ryan Odom? What does this mean for the program and the new gym down there? It's really going to be interesting to monitor over the next 5 years.
Well, I totally am concerned that it means Ryan Odom is coaching basketball next year somewhere else. I mean, there's no doubt.
But that leaves UMBC in a much better place. It does.
It's 100%. And to your point, you don't know what this 10 years looks like or 20 years look like. And the only thing I appreciate, and this is, the deep appreciation of sports, is most of the things in our lives that are 20 or 15 or 10 years old, and you say, I can remember where I was on 9/11. I can remember everything about that morning, right? It's always some sort of, super negative crisis type of thing. But sports is one of those other things, and your family, kids, where you can actually crystallize these moments, remember where you were, remember the things surrounding it. My son starts texting me. He's like, I picked them, right? I'm like, come on. And then sure enough, he picked them in his pool just as sort of a joke, because we were so excited when they hit the three-pointer to win the game. And,
Well, I remember the Coppin thing. I shared those Coppin pictures.
Forever.
Yeah.
Remember that forever.
Well, I will remember being in a box at the Capital One Center in the third period of the Caps game, and the Caps were up big. They were up 5-1 at the time. Then it became 5-3. But at 9:25, I'm commandeering the television in the little place I was in, trying to find channel 57-14 with the Coppin game, and I put it on, and you were up 5-3. And I'm tweeting, hey, we got a lead, and everybody in the box is laughing at me. And the one woman said, my children go to Eastern Carolina. The other one said, mine went to the college at Charleston. We're small school people. We're pulling for you. And I'm like, all right, well, that's good. And they laughed at me that the notion that little UMBC was going to slay Virginia. One of the people in there was a Virginia fan. I bet they had a bad night after we left that box.
No doubt. Look, I don't want to overemphasize what it was. It was a college basketball game where the underdog of all underdogs, beat the behemoth. But it's still, these are just the little things that go on, right, in our universe that make it worth talking about for, a half hour or whatever.
Remember that night we were at the Caps game and UMBC won? Bill Cole runs Cole Roofing. He also runs Fister Energy. This is your elevator speech, Bill. Go after him and tell them all how bad the weather's been, and that the roof's really important, and they'll realize that when it's not functioning the way it should.
Yeah, we love to jump in and take care of commercial roof problems before they become commercial roof problems, because they're a lot more expensive reactively than if we can catch things ahead of time. But
2 words: water damage. I've heard that before, right?
Yeah, I mean the big message probably today on the business side is like with the tax cuts that occurred and, the prosperity in the economy right now, I'm not going to challenge you, Nestor, to, let's get into that conversation as to why it's occurring. That's not important. What is important is the environment that we're in right now. I think people need to seriously consider looking at solar as an investment for their business. It's a cost reduction mechanism that makes their business more profitable. It's more affordable than they realize. Right now, we're at a good interest rate environment. Money is still relatively cheap, although we've got some increases that are coming. So now's the time to look at it. Build your own little power plant. Stop paying the man, BGE or Pepco or Delmarva, whoever it is. Stop paying them. Start putting that money into your pocket.
Cole Roofing is the way to find Bill Cole. I mean, we didn't even talk any Ravens at all. We didn't even say those two words, Crabtree, right?
Crabtree, yeah. And a failed physical on the guy we were worried about last time.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I have no idea. I mean, when the Orioles... When the Ravens are behaving more like the Orioles than the Orioles are behaving more like the Ravens, we got dogs and cats going on around here, Bill.
Weird.
It is weird. It is weird, wild stuff.
Snow on the first day of spring, so it's all good.
Hang in there. Opening days next week. We'll see you then, all right?
All right, brother.
Bill Cole Roofing joining us here. You can find him out on LinkedIn as well. And if you need roofing work done, by all means, trust them. They do it well. He is my pal. We're going to be out at Michael's Cafe in Timonium with head coach Barry Trotz on Thursday night, the opening day after party, beginning at 7:30. We're talking hockey, swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry, and for There Goes My Hero. It's all brought to you by our friends at Freedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. You need Freedmont's education online. Go to Freedmont.com, buying, selling, just getting some information, whatever it is, they are there to help you out. Also, King Discount Liquors, lottery, beer, booze, and the best prices in Baltimore. Get to Rosedale and give the King a ring. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. There's one right around the corner, and they got good roofs there because when the weather's bad outside, you can go inside and take care of yourself, get yourself in the best shape of your life. That morning newspaper also features the Maryland Jockey Club's entries for Laurel this weekend. Cure the winter blues. Get on downward. It's also warm inside down at Laurel, as Coach Ekman would say. Getting up on Preakness and Pink and all that good stuff. The entries on the front of WNST.net as well as in our morning newspaper each and every morning. The BuyAToyota.com Audio Vault is there for you 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. You never know when the Orioles are going to sign Alex Cobb or trade Manny Machado or who knows what the hell they're going to do. That's why you need to be on the text service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And he'll be here on Thursday, of course. Dennis is here every Thursday from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. Big thanks to Howard Bank for stepping forth and sponsoring our Be More Positive Community and Charity series along with Cole Roofing. A relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. Branches throughout Baltimore and Maryland and expanding. It's Howard Bank. It's awesome. I had some chicken and western fries on Monday night. I love Royal Farms chicken. I am unabashed about that. I would say I would eat it every single day, but I probably couldn't do that, shouldn't do that. But it doesn't mean you can't gas up there and get yourself some free fried chicken and some western fries. I did bring home some Ben & Jerry's the other day. I'm not going to lie. The chubby hubby was sitting there, and I'm like, got to have that. Real fresh, real fast. Download the Royal Farms app. Make sure you're using that when you're pumping gas. It'll earn you some points. You get your free western fries, free coffee in the morning, the Kona Blend. My thanks to Bill Cole for being a great guest on the program, as always, and a fun foil to talk sports with and to go to a ball game and have a cocktail with every now and again. I am Nestor, nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube, WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.